Good morning, Chair Volendroff, members Garrett, staff and guests. The lobbies are open and the recording has begun.
Thank you, Gretchen. Good morning and welcome, everyone. I'll now start the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board meeting for Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. I'll start by acknowledging that Board Member Holmes is not with us today, so we've got Board Member Garrett and myself for the meeting. I'll start with the first agenda item, which is approval of minute meetings. I'm looking for a motion to approve the meeting minutes as listed on the agenda.
This is Ali. I approve the meeting minutes as listed on the agenda.
Thank you, Board Member Garrett. I also concur, so moved. And with that, we'll move right into our first agenda item, which is liquor sales, revenue, and distribution dashboard update by our research team.
Jim.
Oh, that was yesterday. I'm sorry. I'm going to move. Okay, thank you. I'm going to move.
Tuesday the 9th.
Oh,
Wednesday the 10th.
I'm going to have to pull up the right agenda because I've got the caucus agenda in front of me this morning. So, all right. So let me just make sure I did this right. This is the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board meeting for Wednesday, September 10th. And with that, we will kick off our first agenda item, which is years of public service and recognition. So first up, we have Tony Hood presenting and recognizing Rebecca Smith, our Licensing and Regulations Director.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Chair Volendroff and members Garrett. Thank you for the opportunity to be here to recognize LCB Director of Licensing and Regulation, Becky Smith, for her 35 years of state service. It's my honor to recognize Becky because of those 35 years, she spent 12 years here at the LCB. Social work. Becky wasn't born to be a regulator. Instead, her college coursework prepared her for her intended career as a social worker. Becky began public service in September of 1990 as a social worker 3 at the Department of Social and Health Services. She steadily climbed the leadership ladder at DSHS. She became a WMS appointment. She became the acting director of field operations in 2010. Then was appointed in 2012 as the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Children's Administration. Eventually, after 23 years at DSHS, she was ready for a change and came to the LCB. She was here as a pioneer for the implementation of the world's first regulated legal cannabis system. In April 16th of 2013, Becky became the LCB's Marijuana Education and Regulation Systems Manager. An interesting tidbit, Becky's title was the only job title in the agency at the time that included the word marijuana. Later, LCB changed the reference to marijuana to remove the negative connotation associated with the word and replaced it with cannabis. In 2015, she was appointed into her current role as the Director of Licensing and Regulation Division. She never forgot her roots, though. Communications Director Brian Smith told me that he once asked Becky to do a television interview on a tough issue related to cannabis licensing, something that was a big ask at the time. She replied, "After 23 years of social work, this was nothing." He said it resonated as truth with him, something that has stuck with him ever since. Anyone who knows Becky in her personal capacity knows that her to be a strong-willed advocate for her staff, as well as the public we served. And as her supervisor for about 4 years, I definitely know this to be true, especially when I first got here and was a little taken aback by how strong-willed and strong advocate she is for her staff. It's something to get used to when you first get here. Um, licensing's Deputy Director of Operations, Caitlin Bomba, said this about Becky. Becky leads the division with a focus on two things that are at the heart of everything we do: our customers and our employees. Becky leads us to provide great customer service to the communities we serve, while never losing sight of the fact that we can only do that when our team feels supported, heard, and healthy. She was an early supporter of the Infant at Work program and has enjoyed having many babies in their early months on the 4th floor. And I can say, as one of those people who loves to hold the babies, I have also enjoyed her support of the Infant at Work program, as many of us from other floors have enjoyed. And we will look forward to there being more LCB babies on many floors, but especially the 4th floor. Under her watch, the agency has successfully stood up the Washington State's first cannabis licensing program, establishing the social equity program, and licensed its first new retailers, as well as implementing countless changes to the Washington cannabis and alcohol regulations that have kept pace with a dynamic industry. Becky has been recognized for her leadership by the governor and has held various leadership positions in regional and national regulatory organizations affiliated with our work. In 2017, she was the recipient of the Governor's Award for Leadership in Management. She's currently the Vice President of the National Conference for Liquor Administrators, or the NCLSLA. And in fact, she was among the first, or even the first person to serve on the board who was not an agency director. And she is slated to be president of this organization next year, which is an amazing feat, again, especially because she is not an agency director, but yet will be president of this national organization. Lastly, I want to thank Becky for her many years of service and her contribution to LCB. And on a personal note, I want to thank her for helping me prevail or succeed in my job. She has helped me quite a bit. And she has been a great friend and mentor to me here at LCB. As a fellow member of the leadership team, I can vouch for her sincere commitment to the public and to the employees here at this agency. Thank you, Becky.
Thank you, Tony. Becky, would you like to say anything before board member Garrett and I have some comments?
I would. That 35 years goes by in a flash. I never thought I would do anything but social work because it was definitely a calling. When you're young and you look out at life, you do what calls to you, and social work called to me. And after 23 years, it's a lot of sleepless nights. I always told Brian Smith I never slept until I came to work at LCB, because for 23 years I worried about child safety, and certainly those folks that have continued to do that work are amongst the the hardest working people I've met and come in contact with. But coming to LCB was it was like a new career. To get an opportunity to stand up a new program nationally that hadn't been done before, even though Colorado would say that's not true, I would beg to differ. That we were the first, the first state that, or in the nation, that actually licensed recreational cannabis. And that there are very few people that could say that they enjoyed their work and they had a lot of fun. I had a ton of fun establishing that program with some great folks that some still work for me today and some have gone on to bigger and better things. But it was flying a plane while we were building the plane, and we made some mistakes along the way and tried to correct them over the years. But I have enjoyed every minute of working for this organization, both with my peers. My staff are amongst the best folks in the state agencies. So I'm all about the people and all about the culture. Otherwise, I wouldn't continue to be here at LCB, and it's wonderful here. So I thank Tony and Will. I've grown so much in the last few years as a leader, and I hope to, they're not getting rid of me soon, but soonish. But thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Well, it's a great honor to recognize you today. And I know that you've worked very closely with board member Garrett over the years. So I'm going to defer to her to make her comments first if she'd like to offer any comments.
Becky, you don't look older than 35. 35
I know,
years in state government. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your service. It has been a pleasure working with you since I've been on the board. It was a pleasure of working with you on kicking off and starting our social equity program. And I heard you say that it was been fun, but I know it was not always fun in that capacity and working with that. But I really respect and admire working with you during this whole process and the time that I've been on the board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, board member Garrett. Becky, I'll just add, social workers hold a special place in my heart. My mom was a social worker. I taught in the School of Social Work at UW, and I often talked to students about this path that they will go on and never know where they're going to end up. And you're just such a shining example of where one career can start and where you can end up. And my time on the board has been gratifying, and it's been gratifying because of the quality of people that I've been able to get to know over the last several years, including you. And I see it reflected in the staff in your division. I see it in the leadership that you provide, and just really thank you for 35 incredible years. And thank you on behalf of the board and the citizens of the state of Washington. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, this is one of the best ways to start off a meeting. I'm glad I'm on the right foot here now because we're going to continue to recognize some staff. And with us, we've got Josh Bollinger, our captain in enforcement and education, recognizing Kelly Higbee, an administrative assistant today. So Josh, I'll turn it over to you and welcome you and Kelly to the podium.
Well, good morning, Chair Vollandroff and Board Member Garrett. It's my honor today to recognize our region's administrative assistant, Kelly Higbee, for 40 years of Washington State public service. Kelly grew up in Missoula, Montana, where she began her career in public service, working as clerical support and a switchboard operator for the Missoula School District. She then moved to North Dakota, where she worked 3 years as a state employee at an outpatient mental health center. In 1985, she headed west to Washington, where she later met her husband, Bob Higbee, to whom she's been married 38 years. Upon settling in Washington, Kelly immediately began working for the Washington State Liquor Control Board as a clerk typist 3. At that time, the board was composed of Pete Peterson, Bob Hanna, and Kaz Watanabe, and Booth Gardner was the governor. Kelly remembers when she started with the agency, staff were allowed to smoke in the office and everybody used typewriters. Kind of sets the scene. Board members routinely sampled liquor in the boardroom, clearing their palate with crackers between drinks. Job duties for members of the agency's wine advisory committee included regularly sampling wine at our Tacoma office. She further recalls working with dumb terminals that were only connected to the AS400, also called the I-series. They weren't even password protected. Anybody could sit down at any terminal. She remembers when fax machines were introduced, which were absolute game changers in a day when so much revolved around the mail. Kelly worked 3 years in the liquor purchasing division before transferring to the Washington State Hospital Commission, where she worked as the agency's secretary. This entire agency was composed of just 25 employees. Kelly transferred back to the Liquor Control Board in 1989, taking a promotion as the Liquor Purchasing Division's administrative assistant. While in this role, Kelly recalls a period in which the agency purchased liquor from the so-called gray market, meaning liquor manufactured in other countries was purchased to stock state liquor stores directly from foreign suppliers to reduce costs by bypassing U.S. liquor importers. She also recalls helping to price liquor that had been illegally trafficked and seized by LCB enforcement officers so it could be stocked and sold in our state liquor stores. During her time with the agency, Kelly recalls when Paula O'Connor, the first female board member, was appointed as the chairperson in 1990. Kelly continued in the liquor purchasing division until 2012 after Initiative 1183 privatized spirituous liquor sales. During the transition to privatization, Kelly worked tirelessly to support mandated agency divestment, including liquidation of liquor stock and closing state liquor stores. In 2012, Kelly transferred to the Enforcement Division, where she has served as the administrative assistant for the Southwest region, working out of the Tacoma field office. In this role, she has supported numerous officers, lieutenants, and 5 different captains, including Captains Ranke, Rayfield, Thompson, Magrill, and me. In addition to many changes with liquor law and regulation, Kelly has witnessed and assisted with the agency taking on the regulation and enforcement of tobacco, cannabis, and vapor products. Kelly has faithfully staffed the lobby of our Tacoma office for over 13 years now. She does so with warmth, kindness, and professionalism, and she provides excellent customer service and support to the public, our officers, and other LCB staff. So here's to another 40 years.
Thank you, Josh. Kelly, would you like to say anything this morning? Don't feel obligated, but you're more than welcome.
As everybody says, the time flies by. You just don't know where it's gone. After 40 years, I feel like I just have to say I must be old. But I'm proud that 39 of those years have been at the liquor board. You know, I've enjoyed it, you know, for the most part, and plan on staying here till I finally retire, but I don't know yet when that's going to be. I'm hoping I'm not standing here in 5 years and saying, hey, 45 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Garrett, would you like to say anything?
Just thank you for your service. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your service. I really appreciate you letting us spend this time and recognize your many years. You'd be welcome to be here in 5 more years if you'd like to be. But thank you. You are quite a historian here when I hear all the things that you have seen and witnessed. And you're also one of those employees who I like to see who left the LCB and then came back to the LCB. That says something about the agency, in my opinion. So thank you very much.
Welcome.
All right. With that, we'll move on to our next agenda item, which is review and consideration of Aramark and WSU Geisa Field pilot requests. And so we've got Joe Redenbacher here this morning, licensing program specialist, to present. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Chair Vollendroff, Board Member Garrett, staff and guests. I'm Joe Rademacher, Compliance Specialist with the Compliance and Adjudications team in the Licensing Division. I'm here today to present a recommendation seeking allowance to begin a pilot project with Aramark and Washington State University to implement and evaluate beer and wine consumption throughout general seating at their football stadium. In May 2025, representatives for Aramark and WSU submitted their official request to pilot beer and wine consumption throughout Geisa Field, which was provided as an attachment to this recommendation. Also included in their submission, as well as in the attachments to this recommendation, were letters of support from the Pullman Police Department, campus police, and university administration. After receiving this request, the licensing and enforcement divisions set out to review their proposal and current operating standards. Over the course of the past several months, our team met several times to discuss this proposal, conduct walkthroughs with Aramark and WSU staff on site, and to provide training and operational recommendations. Although not without some challenges as they took on licensure at WSU and their various facilities, Aramark and their representatives have been very responsive to our feedback, excuse me, and have worked to foster a positive relationship on the ground with our enforcement team as well as with us in the licensing division. They have shown a strong desire to operate within the rules for their license and have been transparent with us throughout the process. I want to acknowledge and thank both our internal partners Captain Jeremy Wissing and Officer Scott McKinney in particular, among many others, and our industry partners at Aramark, WSU, and Foster Garvey for their efforts with this project so far and their willingness to progress how our agency collaborates with this unique license. Due to our work across the request, we are recommending approval of a pilot project that would allow for implementation of beer and wine consumption throughout Gesa Field, except for within the student section. This project would allow for an increase in service, as well as provide an opportunity for our agency to evaluate the effects of the change in service. We do, however, see the need for control measures to be put in place should this pilot project be approved. These include instituting a no reentry policy for all games at Gesa Field, elimination of the Hollingberry Fieldhouse as a pregame alcohol service venue, increased security staffing at field entrances to monitor for open containers and visibly intoxicated fans, an increase in staff and security to guest ratio at Gesa Field to a 1:45 ratio, up 5 from the normal standard. No alcohol in the student section, as I'd mentioned. No alcohol signage and alcohol enforcement and security posted for enforcement at all points of entry to the student seating sections. Alcohol service and consumption in the Rogers Field pregame area should end when football games begin, and alcohol products must be prevented from moving between Gesa Field and Rogers Field pregame areas after the football games have begun as well. Should the board approve this pilot project as recommended, licensing and enforcement are prepared to place additional emphasis on attendance at home game events to ensure compliance with the requirements, as well as to evaluate for any increased risk to public health and safety that may result. We would conduct a review with our industry partners after the season is complete to determine an appropriate course of action should Aramark and WSU want to continue with this level of service in the future, and a recommendation would be brought before the board. As is the case with every SEF license and pilot project, should the board decide to approve this request, we do have the authority and ability to adapt the pilot through required adjustments to their service or to rescind the exception outright should the agency determine the effects of the pilot are a detriment to the health and safety of the public. At this time, I'd like to offer Sarah any opportunity to provide some comments if you have any.
No, I don't have any.
Thank you. If Captain Wissing is online, who's been instrumental to this project, if he has any comments, I'd like to offer him an opportunity as well.
I just want to echo the support and on approving this pilot project. We've had a good working relationship with Aramark. I feel like our lines of communication have greatly improved, especially over last year. And we, of course, will be providing education, and we will be providing on-site verification to ensure compliance with the pilot project. But am confident that we will have a successful season at Gesa Field, and look forward to seeing Aramark implementing this new pilot project.
And also, we also have representatives from Aramark and WCO. Melinda Altamirano, if you would like to provide comment, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to say I'm grateful for the partnership with Wazoo, John Harlow, Matt Zollinger, and Chief Daniels, who have really supported and partnered effortlessly through the work to get the pilot and all of the pieces in place to really ensure the safety and the responsibility with this. But more importantly, a huge thank you to countless people, Becky, Joe, Bill, the entire enforcement team, especially Scott, who we have walked with and spent a lot of time on site with. And then, of course, Chairman Bollendroth, Board Member Garrett, and the entire board for your consideration of this pilot moving forward. I can't tell you how much the partnership over the years has meant, and really appreciate the people. As Becky was recognized, I see the other side of that, and it couldn't be more true. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Vollendroff, at this time, if you and Member Garrett have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Member Garrett?
No questions. I think I asked them all yesterday.
Thank you. I don't have questions, but I do have a comment. So I just want to start by recognizing that while we didn't receive a great number of letters from the community, we did receive letters both in support of and opposition to this petition or pilot. Um, Community engagement with the board is valued and helpful, and I want to thank those who took the time to share their thoughts with the board. The issues that were raised are real, and our board as a whole seeks to balance access with responsibility, especially in collegiate environments where many of the attendees are underage. I personally view the sale of alcohol in these environments different than other sports and entertainment facilities that we license, and appreciate the care and consideration that's gone into assuring that we proceed with a plan that will be successful. I support authorizing this program. We've seen from other collegiate facilities in our state and across the country that when done responsibly, alcohol service can be managed in a way that enhances the fan experience without compromising health and safety. I have witnessed firsthand how serious Aramark takes their role and responsibility, as do all the sports and entertainment facilities that we work with here in the state of Washington. I expect that we will hold the institution and Aramark to the highest standards that we heard today that were outlined by Joe. Conducting a pilot gives us a structured period to evaluate, are the safeguards effective? Are incidents increasing? And are things being managed well? And this feedback will guide further decisions about whether we should continue, expand, revise, or make permanent this pilot. So my vote in favor today is not just about alcohol sales, it's for a carefully designed pilot with oversight, evaluation, and accountability. I believe this is the best way to respect the concerns raised while also recognizing the potential benefits that responsible alcohol service can bring. So with that, I'm looking for a motion to approve the staff recommendations that we approve a pilot project for Aramark and WSU at Geyser Field.
This is Ali. I move that we approve.
Okay, and I concur, so moved. All right, thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you, Jim.
All right, we'll move right on to rulemaking timelines for all industries. We've got Kevin Walder, Policy and Rules Manager, who will kick us off.
Good morning, Chair Bollendroff and Board Member Garrett. The Rules team has continued with a very busy schedule over the last few weeks since our last board meeting, as we've continued work necessary to implement legislation, work through a backlog of public petitions, and advance existing rules projects. We filed 2 CR 101s on September 3rd, bringing us to 13 rule projects currently. We plan to file one more by mid-September, and we're still cautiously optimistic that we can get the pending CR 105 package filed in October as well. So with the seasonal hours rule project being completed this month and the acceptable IDs rule project shortly following that one, we will be looking at 14 to 15 open rules projects by this time next month. And at that point, all of the legislative rulemaking will be underway. All of the rulemaking in response to petitions that we've accepted will have begun. And with all of that to work through, we do not anticipate starting any new rulemaking projects for quite some time, likely well into next year, unless extenuating circumstances arise, of course. Fortunately, the rules team does anticipate a return to being fully staffed again beginning in October as we take on this heightened workload. So to recap the recent CR 101 filings since our last board meeting, on September 3rd, we filed the CR 101 for cannabis R&D testing and samples. That was from a petition from Confidence Analytics. And we filed a CR 101 on September 3rd for contract kitchens to begin implementation of Engrossed House Bill 1602. The informal comment period has begun for both of those projects and will run through October 17th, after which point we will begin working with stakeholders to discuss issues and draft rule language. Then moving on to our upcoming CR 101 filings, we're looking to file the Cannabis Harvest Dates on Labels Rules Project on September 17th. And that would be the last of our remaining CR 101s in the petition backlog. And as mentioned, we're also still looking to file the CR 105 legislative implementation package for House Bill 1636, House Bill 1698, and second substitute Senate Bill 5786 on October 21st, following next month's board meeting. Of course, with all the complex projects going on, this one is a slightly lower priority. It's possible there could be delays, but we're still cautiously optimistic that this one will get filed in October. And moving on to current rules, a great deal of work has been going on related to expanded alcohol service areas. That's the implementation of second substitute House Bill 1515. 2 rulemaking stakeholder sessions were held at the end of August, and the rules team sat in on another public training session held by our licensing division last week. These public engagements were well attended. We received great questions and comments, and we have subsequently been continuing conversations with stakeholders and are considering a few relatively minor changes to the draft rules where appropriate as a result. We have also heard directly from Representative Reed, the primary bill sponsor, and representatives from the City of Seattle and the Seattle Center, and are coordinating with them to ensure we understand their concerns, consider their recommendations, and help to provide them clarity. Given everything going on with this one, it's hard to say if we'll be in a position to advance to the CR 102 phase in October as tentatively indicated, but great progress is being made and no significant delays are anticipated overall. Then probably later today, and certainly by the end of the week, we'll be posting an updated draft of the retail alcohol product placement rules and announce a second round of stakeholder sessions for the week of September 20th. The informal comment period for cannabis retail management agreements, engrossed substitute Senate Bill 5403, closed on September 5th, and we've received a tremendous outpouring of public feedback on this topic. I just heard from Denise this morning. She's responded to over 50 emails that were sent just recently. We are currently evaluating that feedback, and our project team is well underway on preliminary draft rules that we will be taking to stakeholders for discussion in the coming weeks and months. So stay tuned. Tackling some of the related issues on this one is going to be a pretty heavy lift, but we're really encouraged by the interest and participation so far from those representing various perspectives within the industry. And we look forward to working with many of the folks who have reached out to us to address a topic that is deemed by many to be critical to the success of the industry in our state. We have also received a significant amount of feedback on expanded contract kitchen options for domestic breweries and microbreweries, or engrossed House Bill 1602, and are evaluating those comments in preparation for active stakeholder engagement next month after the informal comment period ends. Moving on to petitions. Following my update this morning, Jeff will present our recommendation on behalf of the Director's Office regarding a petition to require online ID verification for cannabis websites that offer customers the option to reserve items to be picked up later at a physical retail store. And we received another petition on August 18th asking the agency to initiate rulemaking to address unfair business practices and undue influence in the cannabis industry. The rules team will present a recommendation on that one at the next board meeting in October. So I think that covers everything for now. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Board Member Garrett, seeing no questions. No, but thank you. And I know that it pales in comparison to how grateful you'll be to have a full team. But I'm also glad, given all the work that you guys are doing, that you'll soon be fully staffed again. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we will now transition to Jeff Kildall, who is with our policy and who's our policy and rules coordinator. And Jeff's going to give us a update or proposal for board adoption of a CR 103 for seasonal hours requirements for alcohol licensees. So Jeff, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you. Good morning, Chair Vollendroff and Board Member Garrett. This morning, I am asking for your approval to file a CR 103 and updated rule language to make a permanent change to WAC 314-02045 regarding seasonal hour requirements for beer and wine restaurant licensees. For some background on this rulemaking, in December 2024, the board accepted a rulemaking petition to consider making adjustments to the minimum hours and days of operation that beer and wine restaurants must follow to maintain their licenses. Restaurants in Washington that hold beer or wine licenses or both are required to be open for business to the public at least 5 hours a day, 3 days a week currently. Many Washington restaurants experience variations in the numbers of customers they serve through the year. This can be due to seasonal variation in the number of residents in their communities or seasonal fluctuations in the number of visitors they have. This change could help licensees save the resources during the slower seasons of the year and still maintain the beer or wine licenses by opening to the public 2 days per week. This CR 103 also includes an update to the annual license fee amount for these 2 liquor licenses, which each have increased from $200 per year to $300 per year, consistent with a bill that passed the legislature, which was Second Substitute Senate Bill 5786. So if approved today, we will file the CR 103 and the rule changes to the beer and wine restaurant hours will take effect in 31 days on October 11th, 2025. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions about this rulemaking.
Thank you, Jeff. Seeing no questions, I appreciate all the work that's gone into this and the timing, which I mentioned yesterday in caucus. So with that, do I have a motion to approve the CR 103 for seasonal hours requirement for alcohol licensees?
This is Ollie. I move that we approve.
Okay, and I second that, so moved. All right, thank you, Jeff. I'll have you now transition to cannabis-related rulemaking, and we have a rule petition review and consideration of online age verification for cannabis retail licensee websites.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Vollendorf and Board Member Garrett. This morning, I am presenting the Director's Office response and recommendation to the Board regarding a petition for rulemaking we received on July 23rd, 2025 from a member of the public. That petition is asking the board to create a new rule section regarding customer access to websites operated by some cannabis retail store licensees. Specifically, this petition asks to create a rule requiring cannabis licensees to ask all online customers to provide their official government-issued identification, such as a driver's license or state identification card, in order to create an online account on the retail cannabis website. This petition requests that this new rule is needed to prevent minors from placing these orders on cannabis retailer websites. Under Washington law and RCW 6950-4013, any person who possesses recreational cannabis in Washington must be at least 21 years of age, and the cannabis products in their possession must have been purchased in person at a licensed physical retail cannabis premises. Although cannabis retail store licensees may only sell products at their retail store locations, some retailers allow customers to pre-select their orders for convenience in electronic online shopping carts or electronic shopping apps. Customers who prefer to pre-order cannabis products this way are in fact reserving the products, but they must pay for the products and pick them up in person at a licensed retail cannabis store location. When any potential recreational cannabis customer goes to a store, the retailer is required under RCW 69-357 subsection 2 not to allow persons under 21 years of age to enter or remain on the premises of a retail store, and retailers must ensure employees are trained to identify persons under the age of 21. In addition, WAC 314.55.086 subsection 1 states that all cannabis licensees, including retail licensees, must display a sign at the entrance that contains the following language: persons under 21 years of age not permitted on these premises. Excuse me. Because recreational cannabis purchases can only be made in person by a person who is 21 years of age or older, any person under the age of 21 who attempts to buy cannabis products by reserving the products on a website, shopping cart, or electronic app would, by definition, lack the government-issued identification necessary to enter the licensed retail store and to purchase cannabis at the point of sale counter. We all know that information about cannabis products are widely available on the internet, and some cannabis retailers do voluntarily ask customers to affirm that they are 21 years of age or over before giving them access to the website or possibly to apps. However, the existing laws and rules already prevent recreational cannabis purchases by minors by requiring valid government identification and the actual purchase at a retail location. So for these reasons described, the Director's Office staff recommend that, consistent with RCW 3405-330, the board deny the petition received from NL Bodwat submitted to the board on July 23rd, 2025. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Any questions, Board Member Garrett? Seeing no questions. Is that right, Board Member Garrett? I'm sorry, I can't. Okay, thank you. Seeing no questions, I do have, I first of all, just want to acknowledge, I think that the intention of the petition is valued in the sense that we too want to assure that products are not sold to people who are not of age. So from that perspective, I appreciate the thought that went into this request. But given the situation whereby we don't allow minors on premises, it makes sense to me that we would deny this petition. So with that, do I have a motion to accept the staff recommendations to deny the petition regarding age verification for cannabis retail licensing websites?
I move that we deny the petition as stated.
All right, and I concur, so moved. All right, thank you very much, Jeff.
Thank you.
All right, that takes us to our final item on the agenda, which is adjournment. So we are done. I will adjourn the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board meeting for Wednesday, September 10th. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye.